everybody. Welcome to the Female Film Critics panel. And this is really fun because we had an episode of the panel this week already with Lizzie says, and so now we're having a second episode. It's just so much fun. And we are talking about the best of movies 2023 so far. We're halfway through the year, and we thought it would be fun to do that. We did it last year. And I am joined by my friends. Manda's here.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. This is going to be great.
And Molly's here.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I really look forward to doing this. And we should start out by saying, how do you feel in general the year as a whole? Do you feel like it's been a pretty good year, not so good year? What do you think, Manda?
I think it's been a really strong year, and we're halfway through, which is crazy because it was just like March the other day for me. But we have so many heavy hitters for summer preview, and then the way we're ending up the year strong as well. So 2023 is pretty good and it's looking good. So I'm really stoked for this summer.
Yeah. What about you, Molly? What do you think?
I think it is looking pretty good. Unfortunately, I missed out on Sundance. I didn't get in. Then I was like, I gotta save some money, and I had another job of coming up just to a little over a week beforehand, and I realized I would work 7 days a week for the next few months. So I was like, maybe it's a good thing I have this little break right now. But I have caught up on some movies that came out from Sundance, like Infinity Pool and Rye Lane, which I will discuss Rye Lane as well. So,
yes. Yeah, I had some honorable mentions in my. I had some festival films in my honorable mentions that either have just barely gotten released or haven't gotten released. I really loved Radical. I thought that was great with Eugenio Derbez. That's coming later. It's your classic school inspirational teacher story, but I was just all done so well, and I've always really liked him as an actor. So that was good. I really loved Theater Camp. It was hilarious.
Oh,
Put it on
I
your
love
list.
that one.
That's
so
literally meant for theater kids. I think that if you understand the language, then you'll really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah, it was hilarious. One at South by Southwest that I really loved is called Molly and Max Into the Future, and it hasn't gotten picked up.
Oh no,
I know.
I hate when that happens.
I know, and I've even been chatting with the director because I said, hey, we cover rom-coms because it's basically like when Harry Met Sally in space. And it's very charming. This and what they did on a nothing budget is amazing. And so keep an eye out for that. I hope it'll get some kind of release from somebody. But it was really cute.
Movie come and help. Or Magnolia, please. I love Movie and Magnolia distributors. I love them over there. Or Keto's great too. I love them too.
Well, I mean, you should hopefully at least see this on Canopy or somewhere, that you can see. The last honorable mention that I wanted to mention that I thought got a little bit of a raw deal. It was too bad it didn't connect with audiences more. Was the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. To me, it reminded me of The Princess Bride, kind of in sort of a swashbuckler and with a really charismatic cast.
I've had a coworker who plays D&D every week, and he's already watched it 4 times.
Oh my gosh,
he loves it that much.
I've never played the game a day in my life. I know they have those fancy dice. That's about all I know about Dungeons and Dragons. But I really enjoyed it. I thought Chris Pine was very charming. I liked Hugh Grant as the villain, and
I love Hugh Grant when he plays villainous roles.
Yeah,
Paddington 2 was just incredible to watch.
Yeah. It's becoming almost he almost needs to play a hero again because it's getting to the point where it's a little bit predictable.
Mhm.
But
I know. But as
I-
he said during the Oscars, he looks too old right now. He didn't moisturize like he should have. Maybe heroes have smoother skin, I guess. Or he should play the hero again, but still he'd probably be like, no, I have the perfect face for a villain now.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Manda, did you have any honorable mentions that you wanted to share?
Yeah. From Sundance, I really liked Fair Play. I didn't expect
yeah.
to love the pairing of Phoebe Denever and Alden Ehrenreich, but I thought they did
Yeah.
a really, really good job. So that I think it went to Netflix. I think
Yeah.
Netflix got that one. So I really like that one.
I was surprised how much they paid for it because it's not like it's a super crowd pleaser, that's going to bring in.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's
messed
a rough
up.
one. It's
Yeah.
really messed up, but
good.
yeah.
Done.
If they sell it as the erotic thriller, I think people are going to be like, ooh, like it's intriguing.
Yeah.
So I
Like,
think
it
that's what
seems-
they're going to do.
It seems more along the lines of something that like Amazon or Apple would get, something a little more edgy
Yeah.
than
Mhm.
Netflix.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I hope people like it when they
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah.
I have Scream 6 because I thought it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I
Uh-huh.
have
It was.
surprisingly, like I hated 5. I could
Oh,
not
that's
stand
interesting.
I
it.
remember that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like 5 either.
Yeah, I did not like 5. So then 6 was a step up for me. I thought the characters had a much stronger like family unit. So I like that. I have Rye Lane. Obviously, rom-coms are just amazing, and they're
Hilarious.
scarce, and I need more of them. But they were just so cute. The Brit humor, I just absolutely adore.
Yeah.
And I have Guardians of the Galaxy up there, which again is surprising for me because all of Phase 4 did not make my top 5 list
Yeah.
at all. So
No.
It was
I'm
pretty
kinda
good.
shook. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was really, I
Yeah.
cried. I mean, it got to me, but
Yeah.
yeah, those are my honorable mentions for the year
Yeah.
so far.
What about you, Molly? Did you have any?
I guess the first 2 that come in my mind, I liked Infinity Pool, but it's not in my top 5. And I know that a lot of other people had issues with it, but I liked Brandon Cronenberg's aesthetic. I really like how he does try to be similar yet different to his father, David. And I liked that it was also a pushback on capitalism through like science fiction lens, which I don't
Mhm.
want to spoil anything, but I really liked it. Of course, I really liked Mia Goth. She was so good in that movie.
He's
And
so good.
Alexander Skarsgård was so good
Wild.
too. And then another one, Blackberry, which I got
Oh,
a
I've
lot of
heard
praise
such
from.
good things.
It is
Yeah.
good.
I want to
My
see
friend
it.
and my friend and
Same.
I watched it because we're friends of Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he delivers. He's so good in it. He makes the bald. Apparently, it's not a bald cap. I thought it was a bald cap he has on. No, he literally shaved a part of his hair, which I'm like, proud. That's like, whoa. That's a yeah. So
Wow.
that's not a bald cap, and he's screaming and shouting the F-bomb in a lot of situations, and he is basically a sociopath. You're like, you go, Glenn. You're good at these roles. So yeah, it was also really fun because it actually looked at how like a lot of corporate structures just doom themselves to failure because they lose sight of what they really truly believed in the first place. And of course, Prozed, the guy who Song Chong, the guy who's on YouTube and Vine, he's also in it in a cameo, and it's great. When we saw him, I was like, it's Prozed. And he had the funniest Letterboxd comment where he's like, that guy who played Richie was a really good actor. He should be in 4 or 5 more of these movies every year.
That's funny. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the one that's gonna win the prize as far as movie about stuff, about how stuff was invented.
I wonder too. I
The
wonder
share.
too. Yeah.
Because we got I was talking about, we have Air, we have
Mhm.
Tetris, we have Flaming Hot
Yeah.
coming out,
Yeah.
and then
Mhm.
and then Blackberry.
Yes.
So
I think Blackberry's my favorite of those so far this year.
wow, that's
Nice.
I've heard nothing
I
but
gotta
raves.
watch it.
So I
Yes.
where's
have
it
to
on? What
watch it.
service?
I watched it in the movie theaters.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
It'll be
Oh,
on
that's
digital soon, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
should be. I have an Alamo Draft House near me that will actually play movies like that. That has a good spotlight
Oh,
on South by Southwest and Fantastic Fest films, which I'm
yeah.
so
very fortunate
lucky.
for.
That's so cool. Yeah, I went to South by Southwest for the first time this year. So
Oh,
that was very
nice.
exciting. Well,
Oh,
non-digital.
Uh-huh.
So that was
Hmm.
fun. Yeah, I'd
yeah.
say it was a strong year for festivals in general. I thought that after not being high on almost anything I saw last
Hmm.
year, this year at Sundance I liked almost everything at least a little bit. I gave almost everything a positive RT
Yeah.
score. And then South by Southwest, I liked almost everything I saw there too, to varying
Hmm.
degrees. So it's good year for the festivals.
For sure.
Well, why don't we get started on our top 5 so far? And I'll go first. So
Hmm.
we were just talking about it, but my number 5 is Air. I just thought it was so well done, like in every
Hmm.
way. The acting was absolutely great. I liked every performance. I thought was really good. I love Chris
Hmm.
Messina as this like angry agent.
I love
Um,
him.
Yes.
so good.
The best Chris.
Yes.
That's a whole other conversation, but still.
Underrated Chris, that's right.
Underrated Chris,
Yes.
yes.
He's so good.
My
I've loved
favorite
him
is
ever
still
since.
Chris. I loved him. Sorry, I was about to say my favorite's Chris Cooper, but he's a good Chris
Oh yeah,
Cooper.
Chris.
Very close to. I loved him
Yeah,
in Little Women. Don't judge me.
yeah.
He's so
I
good.
know. Oh
So
my
good.
God,
But
I
yeah, but
know.
Chris Cinema is so good too.
Chris Messina,
Yeah.
I have loved him ever since Mindy Project.
Me
I've been
too.
he was
Yes.
so good in that show.
Yes. Oh my God. He made that show. I loved him. So good.
Yeah, and actually I just saw him last night in Boogeyman. He's in that.
Oh, nice.
I liked him in that too. I
It was
watched it this
good. He was
morning.
good. Yeah, he was
Plays
good.
such a good dad. It was so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And everybody. I mean, Matt Damon's great. Jason Bateman's great. Ben Affleck is good. And
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think every time, because he plays Phil Knight, who ended up
Mhm.
buying what was Will Vinton's studio in order to make it basically for his son,
Mhm.
and so that his son could make movies.
Oh.
And so every time I think when we'd see Phil Knight, I think of poor Will Vinton in his studio. but I don't know. I just thought the script was really solid. It was entertaining. I thought it was really smart of what they did with not showing Michael Jordan,
Mhm.
because it really wasn't about him at all. It was about this deal and about
Yeah.
the Matt Damon character like believing in something and like trying to get it accomplished. It didn't really have anything to do with Jordan, and I think it would have actually been distracting because we're like, that doesn't look
Yeah.
like Jordan.
Yeah.
And also, like, I feel like in recent years we've kind of come to realize that Jordan's kind of a jerk and not like the
Yeah.
nicest guy. So I think not showing him kind of allowed us to sort of not factor that part of it in, be like, oh great, this great deal, like to make him an egotistical jerk who like
Mhm.
brings his high school coaches on and like just to shame them for not
Mhm.
putting him on the team, and things like that are just
Mhm.
like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you honestly
Yeah.
not have enough like praise and clout as a human? So stuff like that, because they didn't have him pictured, it just took all of that away. You didn't have to
Yeah.
worry about it, and you didn't have to think about him playing baseball, and you didn't have to
Mhm.
all that stuff. And so I think that was brilliant, and it was really just about making this deal happen and like
Mhm.
Matt Damon's character believing in something bigger than himself.
Mhm.
And so I thought that it really worked, and I was totally engrossed with it.
Mhm.
Totally
So
agree.
Yeah.
the blackberries but got to be pretty darn good. It's gonna
Yeah. If it's beating Air, yeah.
Blackberry definitely takes more of a comedic route, I will say, than
Okay,
Air.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Although Eric could be pretty funny. I love when they were like taking stuff treats from the
Mhm.
from the
So
company
funny.
store. That was really funny. And like I said, Chris
Yes.
Messina was so
Mhm.
funny.
Him, I just want him to yell all the time. Like, he's just so funny. I don't think that was scripted either. They're like, just say whatever you think is right in this. So funny.
I will say that I do agree with you with Michael Jordan, but I also am from North Carolina, and he's kind of hero worshipped here in this
Yeah.
state. So you can't really tell that to most people at least in the North Carolina, because they're just like, he's our hometown hero. He went to
Right.
Chapel Hill. He wore his Tar Heel shorts under his Chicago Bull shorts. I was told these stories when I was young. It was just like, it's insane. He owns the Charlotte Hornets as
Mhm.
well. He owns all these auto dealerships. So it's quite
Yeah.
insane, the Michael Jordan admiration here. So I am actually glad to hear somebody say, hey, he actually has lots of flaws. So he's
Yeah.
not as perfect as you think he is. So thank you for that.
He seems to have an unquenchable ego, like that.
Oh yeah,
Again,
definitely.
you would think
Yeah.
that, like, how many 5 championships and
Yeah.
and every endorsement and whatever, everything that you could want. He still needs to have that's where it got me, was when he brought his coaches up, the high school coaches. I was just like, what a jerk.
I know.
That's like a really
Yeah.
like, sorry you didn't make the varsity team. Like,
Yeah, sorry that one time.
Oh God.
I feel like at least LeBron James knows how to take jokes at him. I think he
Yeah.
knows how to actually laugh at himself. I'm not sure Michael Jordan can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, all y'all in like Chicago, don't come at me.
Or North
The mo-
Carolina, don't
North
come
Carolina.
after the Tar Heel fans. Be like, that was our best basketball player.
He's a very talented athlete. Let's leave it there.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Rachel's Reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night, or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. But I did think it was just
not an actor though.
Yeah.
No.
I remember Space Jam.
Honestly, I watched Space Jam like I think 2-3 years ago for the first
When the
time since
new
I was
one,
like
yeah.
4, and I was like, did I really love this as a kid? Because I was in shock. I was like, what was I loving? Like, I didn't understand what was happening. Like, the nostalgia, sure, but I was like, oh my goodness, I'm ashamed. Like,
Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best.
Unless you're Rachel Bloom from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, you just become obsessed with that movie that you write a whole song describing the plot of Space Jam, and it's great, and it's better than the movie itself.
Yeah.
oh
It's
my
funny.
God.
All right, Manda, what's your number 5?
I have Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. That made my top 5 this year. We didn't have Judy Blume books in my elementary school. I went to Catholic school, so her books were like nowhere to be found. I never read her books. And then because the movie was coming out, and I now work for a book club, I'm a head writer over at Maud's book club, I decided to read the book and then review the movie. I fell in love with the book. I thought the book was fantastic. And I think this is one of the like best adaptations I've ever seen for a novel. I think that, oh my God, what's her name? Abby. Is it Abby?
Freeman?
Kelly
Abby.
Yeah, Kelly Freeman
Forston.
Craig is the director.
Yeah.
And then Abby Ryder Forston plays Margaret. And I loved her in Ant-Man. So just to see her like grow into like this lovely young lady, and she held the entire movie was amazing. But I feel like this is the most accurate representation of, being a 12-year-old and trying to navigate, who
Mhm.
you are. And I think that it's such a young age, like preteens don't understand that they have so much life ahead of them to
Mhm.
let's not jump into the responsibility just yet. Like if I
Mhm.
could go back and tell myself to not take on so much responsibility, like I
Mhm.
would. Um, but everyone was fantastic. I cried a lot. I thought,
Mhm.
Kathy Bates was brilliant. Rachel McAdams, brilliant. I loved all three of them. And they just
Mhm.
cover so many different topics. And there's
Mhm.
such balance throughout as well. So this one has my heart. And I am
Yeah.
really happy that the reception has been so, so fantastic for them, because everyone really enjoyed it from what I've read online.
Mhm.
Yeah, you'll see it later on my list. I absolutely
Mine
love it. And
too.
Yay!
when I
Yay!
scan anyone into this movie, I just want to be like, yeah, you made a good
No.
choice today. You know?
Yes.
I love that. Oh, it's just so
Yeah.
wholesome. It's such a good
So good.
story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
people are like, oh, I don't know about reading the book, it's literally a 3-hour listen on Audible. It is not
Yeah.
a long book. It
Mm-mm.
is,
Not
you
at
No.
can
all. Mm-mm.
easily in an evening finish it off, no problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
So good.
and
Mhm.
I didn't make my top 5, but I would highly recommend, especially anybody that enjoyed the movie, to watch Judy Blume Forever, the
Oh yes.
documentary on
So
it's on Amazon Prime. It was
Mhm.
outstanding. I just could not believe these letters,
I
all these
know.
letters that people send to her with just most intimate details of their lives. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just blown away by that. And so that one is very, very, very
Yes.
good. I highly recommend that. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying with hyperbole, but I love that movie. It's actually in my list, and I think movies like that will save lives
yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many people know this, but the first national suicide crisis line was actually built by I think a Catholic priest who heard about this young girl who got her period and she didn't know what was going on and she thought she was possessed and she killed herself because she had no
My
one to
God.
talk to about it and no one
Yeah.
wanted to talk to her about it. And that's why I'm like movies opening up that discussions about normal the normalcy of periods of growing up,
Yeah.
and that's powerful and we need more movies like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when I left the screening, it was a public screening, so there were critics and
Mhm.
public.
Mhm.
And there was two women would look like their daughters there, and they were
Mhm.
talking, and they were like, I could never get my husband to come to this movie. This is a girls only movie. And I was like,
Uh,
oh, that makes me so sad,
uh,
I
because
know.
uh,
like it's just sad that
mm,
like a side of
mhm.
me kind of hopes that she's wrong, because I know so many men that just have such a soft spot for their daughters and just
Yes.
Yeah.
love their little girls. And I mean, my dad
Yeah.
has 4 daughters, and so I think
Mhm.
I could take him to this and he can, like, it's
Yeah.
not anything new like that he
Yeah.
hasn't dealt with.
Yeah.
I think he
Yes.
would appreciate it.
Mhm.
And I just it just makes me sad that
Yeah.
there are
Mhm. It
people
does.
that are sort of closed off to a
Mhm.
whole half the population's experience. Like, you're not interested in that? Like, what?
Of course. I
I
know.
know. I
I
know.
feel really proud of my dad for actually being excited to go see Little Women with us
Yeah.
during Greta Gerwig's Little Women, and he
Yeah.
loved it, and I think he'll love this one too. I think my dad would
Yeah.
love this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
But yeah,
definitely.
it is really sad. And I ended up telling one of my guy friends how good it was. It's like, dang it, why did I have to work that night? I wanted to go see it.
Oh.
It's
Oh,
still there. Tell them to go see it. At least
I
in my
Yeah.
know.
theater, it's still in just one screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But Molly, what is your number 5?
So my number 5 is a controversial pick because I always feel like I get the controversial picks here, but I really enjoyed Beau is Afraid. I
Oh.
really
Oh.
I laughed my butt off during the screening, and I was at the Alamo Draft House, so I was with
Uh-huh.
a crowd that was mostly like they know who Ari Aster is. They knew that what they were going to get into. They knew, like, they at least read a synopsis and said, "Oh, black comedy." So this is not going to be like horror as expected, and it wasn't. And there are already comedic moments in a bunch of his filmography
Uh-huh.
that but in this one it's just very overt, and was like a um Kafka-esque story just brought into a Freudian psychoanalytical viewpoint, and I thought it was kind of insane in the best way possible. And it's almost like a Republican's feverish nightmare where everything is trying to kill you. Like poor people are trying to kill you, homeless people are trying to take it to your home, and all the set design was fantastic. I love that. I loved Patty LuPone in it. I really liked Parker Posey. She is fantastic. And I liked Joaquin Phoenix. I thought he did a fantastic job as Bo and kept that momentum going with the narrative. And you never knew what was going to happen. You're just like, okay, is this real? Is this his imagination? Or am I just like in a fever dream sort of thing? And then you realize like the point is that it is absurd, and that it is the most absurd facets of life distilled in one narrative. And that's why I adore it. And I know a lot of people already hate it. One of my film critic buddies here just said I didn't like it. It made me anxious. And I said, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand after I watched it. But I really liked it. If you can handle the about 3-hour runtime, I think it's well worth the effort and time.
I thought about seeing it because of the animation. That was what kind of interests me. But enough of my friends were like, no, you definitely will not like it. It is not for you. I was like, okay.
Yes.
I didn't. Did you see it, Manda?
I did. And they had me in the first half. And then it just kind of like spiraled out of control. But the more like, just for me personally, there were some choices made that I didn't really dig. But the more I think about it, like the ending really made sense and like tied like a nice little bow on it. And then it made me think about the rest of the film. So maybe, just maybe, a second viewing, similar to like me watching Hereditary, can kind of change my viewpoint on the movie. Because for me, Midsommar is still like all the way up here for me.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my number 4 is an animated film. Big surprise. It is Suzume from director Makoto Shinkai. Yes. Nice. And I mean, I have to admit, I was like expecting this to be like my favorite movie of the year, and it wasn't. It is a little bit messy. The story is a little messy. And a couple of the animation choices were a little strange. There's this like column of power. I don't know what you call it, like column magic powerful that's like causing earthquakes and all this kind of stuff, this column. And that gets unleashed when she opens this door, that's this portal. And it looked really bad. Like, and his animation is usually like pristine, beautiful, and everything else in the movie is absolutely gorgeous. It's just this column that was like, wow, you decided to sit that part out because it did not look good. But
budget ran out just at that time. Like, oh dang, we're out of money.
But like, for considering it's a movie about a girl that basically falls in love with a boy who turns into a chair, like it's pretty amazing what he's able to do with it. Yes. And it's more fantasy than some of his other films are a little more grounded, I would say. But still, I really thought, again, it had big heart. He's a real like old-fashioned romantic, Makoto Shinkai, and this is no exception. And it all ties back to the death of her mother and her connection through these different portals. And there's all these different, they have to go around Japan to like fix each of the, like these keys that are in each of the portals, the different, anyway, it's a lot, but there's also her and her sister who raised her, and they go on this kind of road trip. So there's that element as well. And there's this really cute cat who's very mischievous. Like, and you do not trust this cat at all, but he's very cute. So for all those reasons, I definitely enjoyed it, and he hasn't failed. He hasn't really let me down yet. So it's my number 4.
We'll also be talking about a bit more because it's also on my list.
Yes. All right. Good.
Nice.
I'm not sure. I'm sure it'll end up on streaming somewhere, probably on Crunchyroll or some other places.
Or I was about to say HBO Max, but now it's Max because
Max.
I think G Kids has the distribution for it, and
Okay.
G Kids has the contract with Max for those movies. That's why you can see Miyazaki over there.
It's so weird. Like with all the prestigious shows and everything that HBO has done, how is that not an upgrade to have them on your, like, how is Max better? I don't understand.
Max
Very weird.
Power, maybe?
know.
I don't
Max
know.
Maybe because it's
Power.
like it's one word. I don't know. Like that's what I was thinking. Because like
Terrible.
Netflix is one, and I'm
Well,
like,
I
maybe
think
they
it's
did
that Zaslav is trying to erase the HBO because he cares more about his Discovery shows than he ever did with HBO stuff. And he got his big start being a producer on the Honey Boo Boo show on TLC. That was where,
Really?
yeah,
Oh
apparently
my
so. So it's
gosh,
like,
that should have been our warning.
I know. So yes, his entire thing has been on reality television because it's cheap. Everything is cheap, and all the cast members are barely paid scraps. And they get most of the money. Producers get most of the money, which is a gold mine to them.
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right, Manda, what's your number 4?
I feel like now this movie's controversial, and I hate that it is, but I really had a good time with Creed 3. I thought, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut was really strong. I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I think all 3 of them have been really solid. I think Michael B. Jordan is bloody talented, and I really like that he upped the ante with the action within the ring. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to boxing. Like the story's there, sure, but visually it has to be something different to make it unique. And I think all 3 Creed films now did that because he brought, he's a huge anime fan, right? So he brought those action sequences to life in this live action as well. So I think that added a nice touch, and everyone was great. I thought they ended it. If they end it, I don't know, they could make another 3 like 10 years from now. We have no idea. But
Creed
I thought the
3 part 2.
Yeah, they could do it. Who knows?
Didn't you feel though maybe they were setting up with I could see the daughter.
Yeah, I think what I would kind of love if that went to, I think Amazon Prime has the rights to it. So I think that'd be a really cool series if Amara just has like that longevity. I think that'd be really cool instead of like another trilogy, because how many more can we do movie wise? It's a lot. But I thought everyone was great. I thought the villain was great. So it was just top notch for me.
It was good. I agree. Not a bad one in those 3. They're all entertaining. I mean, I would say if you're thinking about franchises, Rocky is one of the more reliable. I mean, there's Rocky 5, which is not good, but
yes.
Oh, Rocky 4 as well.
Yeah.
That was the one with the robot.
Rocky, the robot. But Rocky 4 is like a little bit fun.
Yeah.
With the whole USSR thing and everything. But
I love 4.
I mean, it's not great, but there's not a terrible unwatchable movie.
No,
in the series, which is pretty good.
They're all fun.
They're 9 movies in,
and they're really solid. So especially like I don't know, this Creed trilogy, I think it's because it's like different, like through a different lens. I have no idea, but sometimes they're better than the actual Rocky movies. I know that's controversial too.
No, I agree. Creed is better than Rocky in my opinion, even though I know Rocky won Best Picture. I'm just like, I thought Taxi Driver or Network should have won Best Picture that year, but that's just my opinion.
I totally agree with Network.
I think that Rocky is probably the better script, I would say. Like Creed is a little more like generic, but the filmmaking that Ryan Coogler does in there is on a different level than what Sylvester Stallone is doing. Like the one shots and the other things like that are just really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
And the Academy, I will never understand why they gave Mark Rylance the Oscar. I do not understand. But
I lost my mind with that win. Like I was beside myself. Like it was terrible. Like I could not deal with it at all. Oh, I can't.
All right, Molly, what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is Rye Lane. And I
It's really
really
good.
I loved it. I love the stylized techniques that the director used, and especially the fishbowl lens at first confused me, but I was like, actually that works because it reminds me of Piccadilly Circus in London, with the roundabouts, and also of course the roundabouts in London. So I really like that aesthetic right there. I really like the actors. I thought they had such great chemistry together. I will say when they broke into her boyfriend's apartment to get that A Tribe Called Quest vinyl, I was like, yeah, you better get that album. Low End Theory is a masterpiece. You need that. I told that to my coworker and he said, your bias is showing up. I'm like, so it's a great album. It's in the Library of Congress it's registered the Library of Congress for a reason.
Yeah.
So I just love that. I loved how it looked into the younger people, the love lives of the younger people in London trying to actually catch their big break while she wants to be a fashion designer and he's the accounting, and it kind of deconstructs that bit of that manic pixie dream girl trope with her, which I really liked. And I was like, okay, she's got issues too, which I like too, because then they could both work off each other. And of course, the boat waving scene, I was just like, you don't wave at boats when they're waving at you, you're just not a good person. You're just like, and I'm like, I agree. If they're waving at you, you wave back.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So cute.
I really enjoyed the
Yes.
film. Some of the humor was not my style. It was just a little vulgar for my taste. That's why I wouldn't get
Yeah.
like top 5, but I
Mhm.
did enjoy it. I certainly gave it a fresh rating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely people should check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yep, all on
Yeah.
Do it.
Hulu, and it's only an hour and 26 minutes.
Mhm.
People, come
And they
on!
are so cute together.
Yes, they
I love
are.
it. Such good energy. It's
Yes,
just
yes.
vibes. Like the whole thing is just
Mhm.
Yeah.
vibes. Very vibrant,
Mhm.
colorful. Like it's such a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
It is.
Well, one of my picks, this did not air in theaters. This is a TV movie, you know how much I love television movies.
Yes.
But this is one of the, if not the best I've ever seen. Like, that is just high hyperbole, I understand, but I absolutely loved a little movie called Mixed Baggage. And this is worth hunting down, finding online, whatever you got to do. It was so good. It tells the story of 3 different couples, and it all involves, in some way or another, this main couple that get their bags switched on the plane, and they have the exact same bag, and so they take each other's bag, and so then they're on this kind of search to find because they have this connection when they first meet, and to find the other person with the bag, and at the same time, so he has the wedding ring of his best friend who's going to propose to his longtime girlfriend, and so they end up, the friend and the girlfriend end up kind of becoming involved, and she's like, why are you proposing to me, like what's going on? And they're really cute. And then the girl's boss is waiting because she has in the bag, she has this prosthetic nose that they need to film this movie that they're doing. And so he's
Oh.
waiting, and he has kind of a crush on the makeup artist who is, and so they have this kind of like friends to lovers work time dynamic. So you have like
I love.
3 really great love stories. I absolutely loved all 3 of them. And you have kind of the long time commitment, you know, when is he going to propose kind of a story. Then you have we sort of love at first sight. We just met, we had this meet cute on the plane. You have them, and they're telling all of these stories. And I just absolutely loved all 3 relationships. I thought it was so well written, so funny, so authentic. I've interviewed now 3 of the cast and the writer
Oh, I love
on
that
Hallmark
for
News
you.
podcast,
Yeah.
and it is so good. And I mean, I wish that it could get a theatrical, because I think it is certainly worthy of that. And it's one of the best of these movies, and I've seen hundreds of these movies, and this is one
Yeah.
of the best I've ever seen.
This is Up TV, correct? I was just looking at
Yes.
IMDb.
TV.
Yeah. Oh, right. I
Okay.
wonder if they have it on their website itself, or if they have a streamer that they work with to put their stuff up
Yeah,
on
they
there. 'Cause
have
that'd be nice.
they have one called Up Faith and Family, which I think you can like sign up for a 7-day trial on Amazon and just watch it and then
Yes.
trial if you want. Um, but but anyway, I absolutely loved it. I think it's one of the best romantic comedies I've seen in years.
I gotta check it out now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
Nope.
favorite was the boss character and the makeup artist. They were so good together. And they probably have the least scenes together, but I just absolutely loved their whole
Aw.
dynamic. Yeah.
Aw.
It's really good.
I love
So
it.
yes. All right. So Manda, what is your next?
Yeah, in third, I'm kind of switching gears from romantic comedies. I'm so sorry. I'm going back to horror. I've like, the thing is that I did not grow up watching horror movies at all. Like I probably watched Scream for the very first time when I was like maybe 14. Like that's like the first horror film that I ever watched, and then I just fell in love with the genre. And the older I get, the more I try to watch. And every October I have my, my 31 days that I try to watch all these blind spots. And recently I watched the Evil Dead franchise. I watched them and those films, and I really enjoyed them. So Evil
Yeah.
Dead Rise was
Ooh,
a
yeah.
like surprise and a half for me. Like I was sold with that title card. I was like, oh, we're doing something different with a title
Yes.
card. Like I was hooked from
Yes.
there. I thought the story was very simple, obviously, but it still plays into what had originally been created and rebooted it for a new generation. And I really liked that. I thought the whole family dynamic was interesting, and the mother actually being possessed was a different take. But I just loved it. I didn't feel like they were passing it to a new generation that couldn't handle the franchise. So I thought everything was just spot on. One of my highest rated a year, actually. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. But
It's
I
cool. I
was
heard
I
good
was
things.
having a blast. Yeah.
Everybody I
Yeah.
knew saw it. Like I haven't seen any of them, so I felt like I was ill-equipped to review this one. But yeah. I don't know if did you get to see that one, Molly?
I have not seen the recent one. I have seen the original trilogy though. I have not seen the remake with the actress from that show on NBC that was canceled before its time, the musical show.
Oh yeah.
No, it's always Extraordinary Playlist. That actress. And
But I heard that was a pretty good remake. I
heard
haven't
it
seen
was
any of
too.
them, but I heard it
to
was
watch
pretty
it.
good.
Yeah, and I do really like the original trilogy. I think Evil Dead 2 is still my favorite, even though Army of Darkness is up there too. It's great. It's great.
Did you know there's an Evil Dead musical? Broadway
I
musical?
did.
Yes.
Yes.
And a television series too. They have Ash versus Evil Dead on top of that, which came out after the musical. So I was like, oh my God, so much. They did a lot with this franchise.
Just seen the trailer.
They do.
It looks awesome.
There's so much you can do, and considering how low budget it was when it first started, that Sam Raimi slept in his car and had his car in and they always just used his car. They just had this one cabin. It's extraordinary, this legacy it's built.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
Same.
All right, Molly, what's your number 3?
All right. My number 3 is Susumi.
Yes.
And yes. And I really adored it. And I really like the connection Susumi creates with all these people, because she's been so sheltered all of her life because of her mom's untimely death and her aunt's trying to take care of her, that the connections just feel more special. And that's what I love to see. And it's, of course, it's her own Bildungsroman. It's her growing of age because she's learning how to actually take care of herself. And one surprising thing I found from a website from Looper is that originally Makoto was planning it to be a lesbian road trip, because Soto was going to be a woman. And it was also Susumi discovering her feelings for another woman during this time because that would be a part of her coming of age. And the executive said no, that people aren't ready for that. I know, unfortunately. I mean, Japan doesn't even have gay marriage, and they voted on it recently and just voted no, unfortunately. And
They're
it's
a
really
pretty traditional
yeah,
society. Yeah.
yeah, it's really sad, especially because a lot of romances, especially between women in Japan, is codified as just like childhood fancies and something you just grow out of, which was brought up in Ryosuke Hamaguchi's film Wheel of Fortune Fantasy for one story where this woman tracks down this other woman thinking she's her old girlfriend who left her to go marry a husband. And no, it's not. And so they're discussing, but they still
You can,
discuss that, and that hurts. That
yeah.
comes from that. But it's
You can
still a
see
great
that too
film.
in when Marnie was there, I think in that one too. Like that
Yes.
it's like they want to tell, oh no, just kidding.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. It's the grandma cop out.
Right.
My friend even said, I can't believe I got queer baited by an animated movie.
Yeah.
But
it's
yeah,
true.
but I feel like Soda, they're the hints of it, like, because that's why Makoto said he turned him into a chair for most of the film, because that was his response, being like, well, I'm going to turn him into a chair then, if she can't be a woman. And also that Soda has longer hair than most of Makoto's protagonists, so, and kind of feminine features at points. So I think the evidence is still there what it was going to be, but it's still a fantastic regardless, and
Do you agree
hopefully
about the
Makoto.
column though? Didn't look
I do
great.
agree. It didn't look the best, but everything else is just so good. The music is good. The voice acting is great. The sets, the set pieces are great. The planting and payoff is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I can't be too angry about it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's not Your Name. It's not as good as Your Name, I will say.
But that's too high a bar. I think it's better. I liked it better in Weather and
Yeah.
You.
Oh yeah.
I do.
I agree.
Yeah. But he hasn't made a bad one yet, in my opinion.
I agree. Same.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
All right. Well, my next one is just coming out this weekend as we're recording. And it's You Hurt My Feelings is my next one.
Oh,
I like
I
that one too.
absolutely loved this movie. I've been promoting on my Instagram for like 2 months. I'm like, put it on your calendar. Make sure you go see it, because
It's so
I
good.
thought it was so funny. I can't remember the last time I laughed this much at a movie. It was hilarious. I mean, everybody can relate to both her character, Julia Dreyfus' character, and also to her husband. She's writing these books. She's like an academic or whatever, and writing these books, and she has a new one coming out, and she's kind of insecure about it. And her husband is like a therapist, and she's walking through the store. She sees him. He doesn't see her. She's walking behind him. He's talking to his brother-in-law, and he's like, I don't really like this new book. And you're going off, and she's like shocked, and horrified. And you've been lying to me all these years. And so it's so funny. And I love Michaela Watkins as her sister. I always think she's great whenever she's in. So Tobias Menzies is the husband, and he was pretty new to me, but I thought he was really good. And you see him being the therapist to the various couples and individuals, and David Cross and Amber Tamblyn, who were married in real life. They're one of the couples, and they they were so funny. They're like, you got anything to add here? That kind of thing. And at the I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but at the end, they give him a bill for like $33,000 for it's like, you haven't helped us at all. And they're
so
like,
good.
you doctor.
It's such a good movie.
It was
I need to
so
watch it.
funny. And her son works at a pot dispensary, and there's a lot of humor with that. And
Oh yeah.
it was so good. Like, it's so rare that I see a movie that legitimately makes me laugh these days. I know it just doesn't happen that often, but this one did. I would really encourage anybody, especially who's like married, should see this movie, because you need to see it and talk about it. But even if you're not, it's still really good.
I am
excited.
Yeah. And Nicole Holofcener, she's just great. She's a great director. Yeah.
She is.
So that is my number two. Manda, what about you? What is your number two?
This is like, I don't know why
I rated a smile on your face.
Because I don't know why I rated it this high, but I was just on such a high after I got out of the theater that I never changed it. I loved Magic Mike's last.
Nice.
I don't know. It was just so fun and like a massive step up from, I think, like the first Magic Mike, and then Magic Mike's XXL was more of like a road trip movie with the boys, but this just had like a more female centric energy. And then like Mike kind of took a back seat in this. But I really love Salma Hayek. I thought she had fantastic chemistry with Channing Tatum. And I think this is more of just like a celebration of, individuality and dance being like such form of expression that I think that it's so important among like all the rest of the arts, like all the art forms that people can kind of tap into. It was a very fun movie, and I love the energy. It's a vibe. It was a party, and it just brought a big smile to my face. It wasn't only about stripping; it's more so about dancing, and moved into that, especially with Magic Mike Live. He really incorporated that with this, so it was a vibe and a half. Like, so
I've heard that from a few other people. Actually, I haven't seen any of them. So
you should. Oh my God, Rachel, watch it. Like,
yes,
well, I will. Yeah. I will. All right, Molly, what's your number two?
All right, my number two is kind of a tearjerker, and I just watched it 2 days ago because it just came on Peacock 1001 from Sundance, the one that won the grand jury prize at Sundance. Yes,
darn, I missed that screening.
Cried.
Shoot.
I was just like, I was watching it. I loved Tiana Taylor playing Inez as the woman who kidnaps the child from foster care because she wants to take care of him and be a mom, but she can't. But she can't do that adoption process because she was a former prisoner at Rikers. And watching that exploration of that relationship and having and becoming that family that just centering on this family trying and struggling to survive in the 1990s New York. And it really does very well with establishing that. You got a lot of Rudy Giuliani talking and saying stuff before he already kind of was crazy, but before. And of course the lighting is great, the blocking is great, the acting is just, oh, it's so good. This final monologue that Taylor does towards her son near the end, just like it, I had tears coming down my face. It's just such a good movie. I really liked it. It's also a coming of age story for the boy, the son that she has, because there's 3 different actors who play him at 3 different parts, like when he's 6 and then 13 and 17.
Like
so yes, and it does it really well. And it's just, oh, so good. So good.
I really want to see
humanist
that.
drama.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
gotta watch it.
It's on Peacock.
My number one, we've already talked about it, is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is my number one. I gave it a perfect score, 10 out of 10, which is very rare for me to do, but I absolutely loved it. I like when I went through and thought about it, I was like, I have no corrections. It has to get a 10 out of 10. I have nothing.
Yeah.
Like the acting was wonderful. The story, the adaptation, it was so good. And I mean, it looked like the 70s. I loved the fact that, she has this friend Nancy who's like a really complicated character. Like at one point she's like, I don't even know if I want to be friends with her, but then she has this scene where she actually does get her period, and so then you feel for Nancy, like just like normal kids have highs and lows and goods and bads, and so I just, it was so authentic. And you know how I have not been a fan of a lot of these teen movies lately, especially The Whale. Oof, that took me to a dark place. I hated that teenage daughter so much. And just like when they're these like one note monsters, I just can't stand it. And this was a human being in this story, and I absolutely loved everything about it. And I got emotional with Kathy Bates as the grandma, because I miss my grandma so much, and we had a really like special relationship and bond, and I miss just like goofing out with her and hanging out, and like they did in the movie. And I just loved it. I thought it was perfect. So
I totally agree.
Oh, one other teen movie that I did also actually, I really, really, really enjoyed, another TV movie, Prom Pact on Disney Plus.
I
so
heard
good.
such good
I've heard
things.
good
Yeah.
Really good teen rom-com, and one of the best DComs in a long time.
And since Disney Plus is unfortunately removing a lot of their service,
Unreal.
we
so
better
mad.
get on it. We better get on it.
Watch it now while you can.
Yeah.
It was really good. But,
I'm hoping so. I hope it stays on.
Manda, what's your number one?
I have Air, directed by Ben Affleck. I'm a massive fan of his. I think he is a strong writer. I think he's a very strong director, and he's a good actor. Not that I want to say it, but he's fine. He's okay. I thought this was fantastic through and through. I thought Viola Davis coming in and, playing Michael Jordan's mom was just, it made such an impact, especially as you mentioned, Rachel, that like we didn't see Michael Jordan at all throughout. I thought that was just the kicker for me. I thought this is like one of the best Matt Damon performances. He hasn't been that good in a while. And I thought that Ben brought out such a strong performance. Seeing Chris Tucker back was great. He stole some scenes too. I thought they all worked like together so well. Jason Bateman, like everyone just flowed and connected. But I think that it's so difficult to make a film like this engaging, because it's just meetings. It's one meeting right after the other, and to like make me like edge of my seat, so like sweating, hoping this deal goes in, like, you know what I mean? So I thought they did that extremely well.
I told my dad, I was like, I think you'd like this one. It's got a lot of cursing for my dad, but other than that, I think he would totally like the story and the everything going on.
Just like edit out the Chris Messina scenes, and then your dad can watch it.
Yes.
That's it.
But it was very well done. I agree.
Yeah, I liked it.
All right, Molly, what's your number one?
All right, my number one is the one that we probably talked about the most here. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Which one of my coworkers brought up. Oh, it's your favorite movie. It's one of your favorites because it has your name in it, isn't it? Because my real name is Margaret, and hilariously, my mom's name is Barbara. So, which is Rachel McAdams' character's name in there. So it was the first film I've seen twice in the theater, and it was, like you said, there was nothing I would change. And I thought Kelly Freeman Craig did so well, and she already has done this really well with Edge of 17. And I love that the producers from The Simpsons, who produced it,
James
James
L.
L. Brooks and Richard Sakai, helped with that. And they're just like, because they're already multimillionaires, so they could just be like, hey, I want to produce this movie because this is a great movie and we can have that sentimentality. You don't have to worry about not making the money back because we got all that Simpsons money. We don't care. So it makes me happy to see that people are still willing to take risks like that. And especially now in unprecedented book bannings, where I
Yeah.
don't even think Florida public schools are allowed to carry a lot of Judy Blume's novels now, especially in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And I loved
Yeah.
how it brought up the religious aspects of it from the book and didn't sugarcoat it, where she has this ennui trying to figure out, should I be Jewish? Should I be Christian? Should I be neither? And she was questioning that. I love this quote where she said, God, if you're supposed to be everywhere, why can I only feel you when I'm alone? And it's so heart-wrenching how Abby, just that line read
Yeah.
from Abby, it's just so good. And I loved Rachel McAdams' character as Barbara, and I love that they added that subplot with her trying to actually ingratiate herself in the PTA and trying to be more of that mother that her mother was, in a sense, from the 50s. And I love how the compare and contrasting, where she's got the Gloria Steinem highlights and jeans, and with Nancy's mom, who's got the coiffed hair, 50s hair because she's still living in that past cycle. And I just loved that. And it was so good. My mom loved Benny Safdie. In fact, she even has a little
Yeah.
crush on him, I think.
Aw.
She
It's
loves
really good.
She loves
it was good.
good dads in media. She loves seeing good dads in media because her dad was so terrible, and so she just like she loves. That's why she loves watching Andy Griffith so much, because she was just like, that's who I wish my dad was. And so she always has crushes on men like that, like good men,
Yeah.
as she
Yeah.
says. So she
It's an
thoroughly
easy
enjoyed it.
thing to have.
Mhm.
Yeah. The sweet, endearing cinnamon roll guy.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
all like
Yes.
that.
He was good. He was
Yeah.
really good as her dad. And of course I loved Kathy Bates as well. And it made me feel happier to see, because I didn't really have a grandmother to do that with, because my grandma, she died when I was about 5, my first one, and then my second one had Alzheimer's. So for most of my life, so she didn't even know who I was. So, and I got to vicariously experience that through Margaret in the film, which I really appreciated, and that just made me joyous
Yeah.
to see it. I was just like, oh yes,
If it
yes.
were up to me, I would nominate her and Michaela Watkins for if we were citing best supporting actresses right now. There's the two of them, I think, were in
Yes.
You Hurt My Feelings and then in this are
Yeah.
really good.
Yes,
Really
yes,
I
good.
agree.
yes,
So,
I agree.
all right, well, we did it. This is very fun. Well, let's read over
Yes.
our picks. So I have Air at 5, I have Suzume at 4, Mixed Baggage at 3, You Hurt My Feelings at 2, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Very good. And Manda, what's yours? 5?
Yeah, I have Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret at 5, Creed 3 at 4, Evil Dead Rise at 3, Magic Mike's Last Dance in second spot, and then Air in number 1.
And
Right.
Molly, what's your 5?
All right, my 5 are: number 5, Beau is Afraid; number 4, Rye Lane; number 3, Sashimi; number 2, 1001; and number 1, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Very good. Well, I think
Yes.
we've learned from this that you all, if you're listening, should go see Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. It's still in theaters for like
Yes.
another couple weeks. Do it.
Do
Yes.
it.
Do it. It's the perfect, even if you missed it during Mother's Day, just go do it.
Yes.
Go do
Yes.
it. You'll
Watch
just like
it.
take your mom, take your aunt, take your grandma, take your dad, take your
Yes.
brothers, take your sisters.
Yes.
All right, Manda, where can people find you and follow you?
Yeah, you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. You can check out my website, candidxcinema.com, and my YouTube, Candid Cinema.
And Molly, what about you?
Oh, right. You can find me on my Twitter account at raspberry at twitter.com. You can also find me on WordPress at Mollywood Writes at wordpress.com. And you can also find me on the film stage, where I actually contribute a few times a year for reviews and their annual best of the year list. I'm always excited when that comes up, that I get to
Yes.
participate in that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure that you're following at the Hallmarkies podcast. Lots of fun stuff, including all those mixed baggage interviews and
Yay.
recaps. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the patron group, which is a lot of fun. I think you get a super big bang for your buck for the patron. And then we have the merch store. You can get Female Film Critics Panel merch. And I think the logo is really cool. So check it out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.